coal's value is based on the energy content in the coal. However, since the coal being a fossil fuel naturally available, but it doesn't contain the carbon alone, but other components which we may not want to pay for, which could be moisture, which could be sulfur, ash, and many other elements. Since coal is naturally available and abundantly available, there are huge challenges in terms of determining the real value of the coal, as the value of the coal is based on the energy present in the coal. One of the major parameter, the characteristic of coal is that it is very heterogeneous. If you hold two pieces of coal from the same mine next to each other, their values could be very different. So it is very hard for anyone to say that the certain coal in certain mine is having certain characteristics. It can never be true. Same coal's characteristics change from location to location. A coal which can give you certain GCV or gross calorific value or the moisture or any parameter, and Kolkata could be, if tested in some other location, could be different. Coal also changes its characters with time. If you leave the coal on a stockpile or in a port or in the mine for a longer period of time due to the oxidation or due to the absorption of moisture from the atmosphere, its characteristic changes. Hence, you cannot rely upon your past data. Of course, coal quality is determined with the procedure of 3 steps: coal sampling, coal sample preparation, and the testing. Place to place, the methods of sampling vary. Take it in the case of mine, take it in the case of port or in the plants. The methods and the procedures adopted or the tools used vary from location to location. That may cause variations in the results obtained from the coal sample testing. And now, last not but the least, the vested interests from the stakeholders. There are various stakeholders in the coal supply chain: the supplier, the transporter, the many other, buyer and the trader, many people involved, and they always will want the results to be in their favor. And in a way, I'm sure everybody in this hall will agree that in a way there are some vested interests which will be working behind the scenes to get the results in their favor. Now, why is the challenges are so important to tackle? As I mentioned, coal quality determination involves 3 steps. Number 1 being sampling, 2 being sample preparation, and 3rd being testing. In case of any deviation, any errors in the results, it is highly likely that 5% chance that the errors might have occurred during the analysis. 15% of the contribution of errors could come from preparation. 80% of the errors could be contributed from the first step, that is sampling. It is a proven data based on the various sampling methods. Hence, it is evident from this slide that we have to address the sampling step which will contribute to the errors in the result in a major way. Okay, let's look at a hypothetical coal supply chain scenario here. We have a coal mine with various equipments in the mine, including the excavator, payloader, weigh bridges, and laboratory stacks, even the unloaders and loaders and all that. Take this example that the mined coal is stacked. Once it is coal is mined and stacked, in this process sampling is required, and this sample result have to be recorded to ascertain the miner or the coal producer meets the coal purchase agreement requirements. He then has to deliver it, dispatch it through various modes of transport by road or by rail. Again, these two modes will either feed directly to the plant or through the port for the domestic industry, or in rare cases to the export for in Indian scenario. In all these scenarios, one can easily see that most of these locations are not going to be similar with each other with respect to the resources available in terms of human resource or manpower, tools, or laboratory systems also. Hence, I want to recall to my previous slide where location to location, based on the processes followed, we tend to get different results for the same coal. So these are the current practices prevailing in the industry. I am sure everybody will agree here in this hall that all of the parties in the transaction, in the supply chain, will agree for the results published. Everybody will always have a challenge on the declared result. We have been facing it time and again, and it's been there ever since the coal testing laboratories are there. I'm sure my colleagues on the dais will also agree. So what are the drawbacks or the issues that are prevailing with the current processes? All the processes are inconsistent, outdated. Maybe in the single supply chain, let's say from same rake getting loaded from the mine, again unloaded at the port, loaded at the port, unloaded at the plant, being tested, and then stacked, and then fired. You will, same cargo of, let's say, produced in certain shift of the day, will have different results in the complete supply chain category. It is primarily due to inconsistent practices. Most of the processes that we employ during this procedure are not recorded digitally, are not stored digitally. We do not have at the moment the tools to process this data, the raw data, in a way that we generate a meaningful decision-making tool. Hence, the data mostly lies in Excel format or on a paper in the worst case. Most of the decisions are made and then probably the data arrives later on if people are at least working with the Excel models. Hence, there is a need for digitization of the entire coal supply chain process, especially in case of coal quality controls. We have been working with several industry leaders in this in the post-COVID era, and we have devised several solutions which will make the coal quality control completely human intervention free. And we have advised and executed several projects which are successfully running. Then the results are flashed onto the boardroom without anybody's approval, without anybody's intervention. The whole concept of digitization of the process includes and starts with making sure that all our field equipment or the equipment that we use for drawing the sample, because every process starts from that stage, have to be smart, in the sense that they should be able to communicate digitally with the server. Take, for example, Weighbridge. A normal Weighbridge might not have a method of communicating, transferring the data back to the server. The advanced Weighbridges with a slight modification, existing Weighbridges with slight modification, can be able to receive the data and communicate the data without anybody touching anything. Similarly, instead of manual sampling or instead of having a sampling devices without communication capabilities, should have been upgraded to digitally capable smart devices. Digital and automation architecture involves starting from the ground, where we develop our products to be able to communicate, including the laboratory information management system, which can weigh and also take the results directly and flash it onto the server. This is a typical example of one of the architecture that we delivered and which is running successful, which all this server for Coal Lab interacts with the field devices, and the client server in real time flashes the results in real time, and in case of any intervention required or any suspicious activities noticed, the system can alert or receive the alert and take corrective actions. These are some of the examples of field equipment devices that are working and producing results for our esteemed clients. The one on top left corner is a belt sampler working on a mine conveyor, which collects sample during the production. On the bottom left corner is the truck auger sampler, which collects sample from the truck at the time of dispatch or when the truck is coming into the plant for delivery. The top right corner image is the mobile auger sampler, which can collect sample either from truck or rake, or even travel to a different location to collect from a small stockpile. The last one is the image of a rail-mounted auger, which travels along the rake and collect the sample.